Zack and Trini sitting in a tree? You know the rest. Next up on Just to Talk So, let's talk about it. And welcome to the Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks. And I am your humble host, Nove718. And we're gonna get right to it because we're gonna just go have fun. This is the 18th. You're gonna see videos upon videos, and I want you guys. This is the countdown for Power Rangers once and always. And we're gonna have to ask the question: Zack and Trini are a thing? Now, this is brought to you by the fandom, as you can see, because a lot of questions was out there about how men asked Zack, and when she said Rita killed mom, she didn't say my mom, just the affliction, and a lot of people, it let the internet go off into a frenzy of whether or not was Zack Min's dad. Now, let's get the first shit off the table, the obvious. I touched on it a little bit, but they went out their way to cast Min as 100% Vietnamese. So, unless she's playing like she's half black, people are like, well, she can't be his kid. But in this day and age, with so many different ways of going about creating families, and it's not a far stretch to say that perhaps Zack is her stepfather. It's possible because everybody noticed when she said mom, she didn't look at Billy, she looked directly at Zack. Now, the question we have to ask is there any kind of precedent of a romance between Zack and Trini? Well, there actually is in the comics. There's a one-off in Power Rangers where they kind of explain where Kimberly was after she left to compete in gymnastics and left the Power Rangers before Mighty Morphin transitioned into Zeo. And there was a Dear John letter and all of the rest of it. I vaguely remember that letter, but I remember when she had left off the show. And in the comics, what they tried to do was have a moment where she kind of came, they needed a ranger wherever she was at, and she had to dub two other people as a ranger, but in particular, Zack and Trini, she scouted and got, and they kind of mimicked off of her morph powers, so it was a black and pink mesh and a yellow and pink mesh, which was fine for what they were trying to project. Again, I did not like Zack in an all pink suit, but that's another topic for today. But not for today. But that was a way for her to access the Morphin grid. So she kind of got their powers back, but it was using her pink energy, however that could go. But comics. So they all had their Ranger suits with pink trimming and some funky redesigns. They had to do the hoodie and all of that extra shit, but I wasn't mad. It's a comic, so they had to do what they have to do with the designs. And at the very end of the comic, Trini happens to allude that, because there's a moment where they kiss, Zack and Trini kiss, and she, Kimberly like, yo, when did that happen? She was like, yo, we didn't have time to tell you about it, but since we was, apart on the peace conference, quote unquote, they were out. They created a relationship with themselves. They sparked a relationship. Now, that led me down a rabbit hole. At some point, I don't know, I seen it in the comment section. People was talking about Kimberly with Trini and Jason and Trini and Zack, and there were videos out there, so I looked up the videos. At first, when I heard Trini and Zack, I was like, where did y'all get that from? There was no inkling of that in the series when I was a kid, so I never noticed any. The only relationship there was the Pink Ranger and the Green Ranger, and they didn't really even kiss. I think they might have kissed one time on the mouth. Otherwise, they were the only one that was an item. So you never noticed any kind of relationships with anyone else, and they never even led into it. But when you see the clips of the videos, and however they did it, they put a nice cute music to it to make it saucy. I seen Zack and Trini together, and they put so much clips together of them on the show, really touchy-feely. feely. I never noticed it. I mean, I remember like when they came back to do Zeo, how she was tied up his bandana when Zack showed up with braids for the new season and all that. But you never noticed it because everybody was cool. But when they put the video clips together, it was like, yo, you kind of, and they had a good vibe. Like, they always were touchy-feely around each other. Like, when they post up together, she always seemed to lean into him a little bit more physically. And we all know that those three Rangers, Zack, Trini, and Jason, well, the actors, they were real cool, especially because they left all together and they was about to do a show together after it. And I think it was supposed to be Cybertron, which, for an Easter egg, Tommy was going to do a show called Cybertron, but that turned into VR Troopers. And if you ever noticed in VR Troopers, JB and Caitlin, yeah, I remember their names. And I think Ryan was the original one, if not the main leader dude who had the red and blue half suit thing together. Those were two Sentai series that they mashed together. That's why you never seen Caitlin and JB in Japanese footage with Ryan. I think his name was Ryan. Can't remember. But either way you look at it, the main guy, the leader dude that used to always do the karate chop in VR Troopers. So when you think about it now, it's like they all were always real tight together. You find a lot of footage of them, especially after they left Power Rangers, when they was doing like Zack was doing his hip hop videotapes or whatever for dancing and stuff. You see Tui and Austin show up to Walter's thing. It was just real. You could tell that they all were real tight. But now, when you seen the video someone put together with, because a lot of people want to see Jason and Trini together, you could tell, one, it was so forced because they didn't have enough footage of them together the way they had with Zack to sell you the little fly music and a little saucy music together, which made me go, nah, that works. I'm thinking like the clips and the music together, that can make anyone think that, oh, there's a romance. But I saw the Zack and Trini joint first. I was like, whoa. So when I seen the Jason and Trini, it was like, there's no comparison. There was no chemistry like that between the two. Not like that. Like you couldn't put it together. The video they put together was a struggle to show chemistry that was easy to show when they put all the footage together, Zack and Tui. Or Zack and Trini. And even the behind the scenes with Walter and Tui together, they were very huggy, touchy-feely. I could see it. And now, with that being said, would they want to put that into the series? I don't know. We're going to talk about Quantum Continuum, because Quantum Continuum, the one that David Yost wrote together, he really went out of his way to make it that the Red Ranger and Yellow Ranger had kids together in his fall. And it seemed like, I don't want to get too much into it, but it seemed like it was another forced attempt to pair Jason and Trini together. And it feels more forced when they do that than Zack and Trini, because when you see the footage of them together, you buy that more. You gotta see the videos. I'm gonna put the links in the description, and please check it out. Yo, it's hard to compare the two. With that being said, now let's get back into what they're trying to do in Once and Always. Could they and would they? Well, there is precedent in the comics already for them to have a relationship, and we know Jason came back after the fact. And I never got a chance to watch Turbo, but they alluded in the movie, from what I understand. I never watched the movie front to back. Always seen bits of it. I always wanted to sit down and watch it, but I heard they allude to, because I also see Jason and Kimberly together pairings. So if that's the case, if Jason and Kimberly ends up together down the line, and you can do it because let's be for real. Even though I'd rather see Kimberly with Tommy, Kimberly ended up with Tommy ended up with Kat. That's just what it is. And I believe they had kids together. JJ in the comments, it is what it is. And I want to talk about Kat really being a cat, but not here. At the end of the day, though, there is if that happens, if there is precedent for Kimberly and Jason to have ended up with each other at some point, why not Zack and Trini? Now, most people would say Billy and Trini would make more sense, and I get where you're coming from, but they were kind of extremely clear that they were friends. It was just that they were real cool like that, and there was no chemistry bouncing between them. Nah, it was none of that. So I couldn't see it, especially when he goes off to Aquitar with the one girl that he liked from Aquitar. So that's a dub. Who else but Zack? And that would make sense, especially because they're not going to do nothing with Zack anyway. So why not do this? Then we can actually really deal with a Zack mourning Trini, which would be a way that we could vicariously do it through Zack. But at the same time, you could do that with men already. So there's really no need to have to do it for that reasoning. But it could work. For another reason I wanted to add into, there's a young man that everyone keeps talking about that pops up and is listed in the once and always casting that people have strangely said they think he's going to be a Green Ranger. I don't know what that means. What I will say is the boy could pass for being mixed. And if that's the case, Zack and Trini could have ended up together and had kids together, but that doesn't mean men is his biological. Men could, in a lot of ways, be his stepdaughter. And he had kids with Trini, but men is 100% Vietnamese. And that could work. And I think Trini was Chinese in the show, but I'm not 100% sure if they made that officially clear what she was. I know what she really is Vietnamese, Tui, but I think her character was supposed to be Chinese, but I could be wrong. But I always remember them. I always thought that she was Chinese. I feel like there was an episode with an uncle, if I'm not mistaken, when she was doing the kung fu. I always thought that she was Chinese. That being said, now, is it possible? Well, we'll find out in a day or so, but let's get this conversation popping and percolating in the comments below and let me know what you guys think out there. Do you believe that it's possible that Trini and Zack had a child together? Or maybe, and you could argue men could be his biological daughter. Just because they wanted 100% Vietnamese doesn't mean that they can't just say she's half black. You know what I'm saying? And it could just very well be that way. I don't think they'll do that. There's no need to be all extra. You could just say that that's her stepfather and they had other kids together, and then you could cast them out like that. But we don't know for sure. We won't know until tomorrow. But I will say this. If any actor that you would want to do that with, get the one that has the most accreditation towards acting, which is Zack, if I'm not mistaken, is the most accredited actor that's actually on Once and Only, and you can actually play out certain dramatic moments with him dealing with that. But at the end of the day, we don't know. A lot of people looked at Billy and said, could it be Billy, her stepfather? That's possible, but I just don't see it because Billy was off in Aquitar. Now, they could have just been uncles because they say that she refers to men, the actress refers to Walter Jones as Uncle Zack when she refers to him. That's what it's been said. I haven't noticed it myself, but I want to put it out there. So it's very possible that we're all fucking wrong. We're all fucking wrong. But only one way to find out. And I hope you guys will be there with me on the 19th, and we gonna get it popping. We're gonna be talking, percolating, shaking shit up, talking about this. It's gonna be a lot of fun, a lot of nostalgia, and we're gonna really get into it. And oh, they finally didn't talking about the remastered Power Ranger figure for Hasbro, because I seen that joint. The ones that they put out before, the face was ridiculous for Zack. They finally made a better face. It don't look like Zack really, but it's at least a way better face than that goofy thing they put together before. So I just hope that we get a lot more answers on the 19th. I hope they put respect on Zack's name. That's all. He's finally got a chance to shine. I just want my man to shine bright like a diamond. But I also want to see Billy get busy too, because I think it's going to be real dope to see what's been happening with Billy after the fact. And did he bring anything from Aquitar? Does he have any half Aquatarian kids? This could be real fascinating. You could even play up some storylines that when he left, his kids got, well, actually not, he left years ago anyway, so you don't have to even argue aging up his kids, because he could legitimately have kids in his 20s and they could come back at half Aquatarian on some, we're the villains, yeah, and do something real dynamic with Billy, where we can actually flesh him out even deeper than we've ever done before, without having to tie it to any storyline for Jason, Tommy, no one else. It could be something that we could really deal with Billy, and that could be dope, you know. But that's neither here nor there, especially dealing with his kids. If his kids came down to live and they're half Aquatarian and half this, it could be real interesting how you want to develop that. And there's just so many different type of ways you can go with it to actually build out so much more story. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think that Zack Trini, that Min could be Zack's daughter, be it stepchild and or anything else? Leave it in the comments below. You already know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro. Chill.